All right, on today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, have we fully recovered from that game against the Nashville Predators? We all know what happened. We don't mean to dwell on it too much, but we do still have to talk about it. Have we recovered? And that's us. The Avalanche, as a team, we really hope they have recovered from it because they have a very big game against the Vancouver Canucks tonight. A lot to get to on today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. Make sure to follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. I think I said Instagram. That's a new one. I'm gonna go buy that IPO right now. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel. Over on YouTube, hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. Make sure you subscribe to our subtext as well. Link to that is in the show notes below. When you do, you become one of our very special insiders. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one and give us your opinions and thoughts and predictions like we will get to a little bit later. So on today's episode, if you're watching over on YouTube, you see what we have on our rundown. It's that time of the year for thanks, my friend. So we do this every year, and we will get things that we are thankful for, Colorado Avalanche version. So we'll do that. And we will talk about that game against the Vancouver Canucks. But yeah, we're going to have a little bit of a leftover here and talk about what stuck with us from this game between the Avalanche and the Predators. Clearly that ending has, but anything else that's sticking with you 24 hours later?
I went to bed a very bitter man, bitter, angry. I just closed my eyes and I saw mustard cat jerseys. And I got to thinking, Nathan McKinnon hasn't scored in 5 games. That's weird. When does that happen? That's just odd. But he should be fine. He's got to be up there when it comes to goals on the team. Has anyone happened to go look at the top 3 goal scorers
on the team?
Number 1 being Mikko Rantanen with 11. Yeah. And you know how we talked about slow starts and wow, this Dallas game and Nashville, the Chushkins had a come out party. Number 2 with 7 goals. And guess who's tied with the one Nathan McKinnon with 6 goals? That would be Ryan Johansson. He is why is he out there? He's slow. He doesn't. And he has Ryan Johansson, by the way, 6 goals, 7 points on the year. He has 1 assist, 6 goals, 1 assist, tied for 3rd. It was one of those that I thought about all day today. And we'll get to that when we talk about what we're thankful for on this team. But I would like Nathan McKinnon. We've talked about it time and time again, and it comes up a lot in the YouTube comments when the Avalanche have these type losses this year is leadership. And I would love one of those games. It's about time for one of those Nathan McKinnon, I'm mad at the world, I'm going to score 3 goals because I want to. It's about time, Nathan.
Yeah, I mean, and overall, points-wise, he's 3rd on the team. He's got 22 points overall, so he's being productive, right? But you want him to do both. You want him to facilitate his teammates, and you want him to get pucks in the back of the net. He's capable of doing that. We've seen this before with him, so I'm not concerned about it because I do feel like he can get on a roll. He's that good. It's not for lack of trying because he still gets many. I mean, didn't he have a game earlier this year? He had 15 shots on goal.
Yeah.
So, he will get his shots. If that was the problem, if not getting shots on net was the problem, then I would be concerned. But he's getting shots. It's just he's too good of a goal scorer for this to be a problem all year long. But what I find funny is Yeah, he's tied in goals with not only Ryan Johansson, but Ross Colton.
Yeah.
And I just find it fun. And I know they play different roles and they're on different lines, and maybe a little bit more is expected of Johansson than Colton. But I just find it funny how like the 6 goals from Ross Colton we celebrate to no end, and the 6 goals from Ryan Johansson, it's like, what, do more.
Yeah.
I just think that's a funny dynamic between those two.
I think that was the most equally as surprising with like the goal span that Nathan hasn't scored and where he sits is Ryan Johansson has 6, for goodness sake, and 7 points, 6 of those being goals. Like he's, according to the stat sheet, a goal scorer. Like he's not passing the
Wow.
puck, which
Yeah.
is evident on the power play. But
Yeah.
where did those 6 goals come from? What game was that? Was there a hidden game that I did not watch? I do not remember,
I think
other
they're just
than
so
maybe 1 or
far
2.
they're so far spread out. You just
Yeah.
feel like every time he gets one, it's his first one of the year. It's
Yeah.
just odd. This is kind of like the first, when we do this segment about, leftovers and things like this is like the first one where it's both. It's like there's good things that I'm thinking about from that game, and then the obvious bad things from that game. And it, I don't know, because and I hate to kind of like dwell on the bad, because the bad is the end. Like there's no doubt about that. So, but for the good, like I still like feel like this team overall is playing fine. It's just the end result has not been what we want it to be consistently.
Yeah.
The play out on the ice has been better. And that's why we're just talking about Nathan MacKinnon and how I just feel like he's going to snap out of that, and he's too good to score goals. I feel like the same with this team. I feel like they just keep playing. They did it against Dallas, not the coming back and getting the 6 goals. It was staying the course, playing your game. And I just feel like if they keep doing that, I've said it before, like the season's so long, these things balance out. So, you had that fluky end to the game, but I did, man. I woke up this morning. I usually don't like feel just so like yin and yang, but I did for this game. And I did. I woke up thinking like, I can't believe that happened.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that happened last night. But as the day went on, I was like, but they did good things. They put themselves into a position to win. The strangest thing for me, Kyle, is a lot. Like, I'm not as upset over that loss and the way that they lost opposed to other losses. And I think it's just because it's such a fluky way to lose that you don't see all the time. And I know there's Avalanche fans out there. Well, they've done it 3 times this year. Where in Seattle, they did it not that long ago against Seattle. That was, I mean, they gave up. They didn't give up 2 against Seattle to have the other team tie you and then take the lead. That it is it's not something you really want to be happening if you're an Avalanche fan, is giving up last minute goals no matter the period. But I didn't get as upset because of the way it went down. I'm like, man, that just does not happen that much. And I feel like I can deal with that, as opposed to, like the Seattle one, that was a little bit different for me.
I've been rolling in it today. Like I'll start to feel, I wake up feeling bad, like the Nathan MacKinnon thing, because in losses like this, like Nathan MacKinnon's the pseudo leader. So you're kind of like, well, what did Nathan MacKinnon do to help? And then you didn't see a goal there, and you're like, oh, he's not even producing. And then you feel really bad about it. And then you start feeling good. You're like, the Cogliano goal was clutch. Nichushkin looked great. Then you're looking at the depth scoring, and we talk about it all year. This is so fantastic to have, and then you feel good about it. And then with Locked On Predators tweets out in elation, like, how many times have we looked at the last 2 goals of that game last night? And then
I didn't see that, did they?
I saw
would
that
have
today.
too, man. I
I
would have too.
respond as 0, and then I'm right back down. I'm reminded on how that game ended, because we talked about it in yesterday's episode. Like the beginning, you did enough. Like that was really good production. And if those last 2 goals didn't happen, there's a lot that you could build off of going into this Vancouver game. And it's just one of those extra things. Can you imagine with seeing like lines 2 through 4 and how they're clicking right now? if Nathan McKinnon decides to start goal scoring again, how dangerous this team could be. Now you're flipping it around. Like, if you're not winning these games, you need Nathan McKinnon to score. It's nice that you have depth scoring, but is that enough? You have all these question marks, but it's crazy that a game could come down to just like one little mishap and then completely alter how you are taking in a game.
Yeah, you mentioned Valenchushkin. He was the other thing that stuck around for me, was just his play recently has been fantastic. The third line's been great. We've been talking about them. Valenchushkin is really found a groove, and you just hope, he can continue that. And those other guys that Nathan McKinnon can find his scoring groove while Valenchushkin continues his play. You just hope the things that are going well continue to go well, and the things that need to get caught up catch up while those other things continue on. And then if that happens, we'll be riding a good wave here. You did mention Vancouver. That is the next matchup for the Avs. This could be I don't think anybody thought we'd be in this position talking about Vancouver the way that we are about to. So we will talk about them coming up next. Right now, we're going to discuss Sleeper. And Kyle, is there a better daily fantasy app out there on the market than Sleeper?
No, it is my favorite fantasy app to use. I get on there all the time, daily almost.
Well, that's where daily fantasy sports come into play, sir. You could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. And Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. Who do we like tonight, Kyle, against Vancouver? Who steps up big, and who are you picking for your daily fantasy team?
I know the easy answer would be Nathan McKinnon, but I have a feeling this is a Miles Wood game.
Ooh, okay. I like it. Going to that third line. So you heard it here first, people. Miles Wood on your Sleeper team. All you have to do is pick whether studs like Miles Wood, is he a stud? Absolutely. Will record more or less than their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus, minus, and more in a given game. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That code is LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. Also brought to you by FanDuel and the FanDuel Sportsbook. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook, because right now new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any $5 moneyline bet. That is a $150 bonus if your team wins. Denver Broncos riding high, Kyle. Who I don't even know who they play this week. I forgot who they play.
They're in the playoff hunt.
They are. I mean, are we picking them again this week? Let me see what the line is for them.
Let's ride.
Yeah. Can we officially say that use that expression and feel good about it? I think we can. Cleveland Browns. And the Broncos are a favorite in that game. Can you believe it?
Yeah, Deshaun Watson is not playing with the Browns. He's sidelined all season.
So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use. It's secure. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and kick off this NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. Avs and the Vancouver Canucks on a Thanksgiving Eve showdown. I just love how there was 0 games on Tuesday. There's a reason for that. I read something quickly, and there's a reason for it, and it just went in one ear and out the other, and I'm like, I don't care. Figure it out.
It doesn't. I want to watch hockey. I don't care.
Yeah, figure out a way to get at least a couple games on. But so with this game, Vancouver is doing this year what I think a lot of people expect them to do last year. Because if you remember the year before that, the way they ended that season was they were one of the hottest teams in the league. So people thought they were going to carry that over into last year, and they didn't. And they got off to that start where they lost, what was it, like the first 7 or 8 games of the season where they had a 2-goal lead in all of those games and lost all of them, and they could just not recover from that. They fire Bruce Boudreau, and they did okay for the rest of the season, but they just got so far behind, and they are last year's Canucks are like this year's Edmonton Oilers right now. So they fire Bruce Boudreau, they bring in Rick Tocchet, and he has turned things around quickly, might I add. I would go as far to say like this game right here might be the most difficult game for the Avs, and that's including that Vegas game. It's so weird to see, like, there's always teams that maybe you want to say overachieve, and the numbers and the analytics don't really back it up. It's backing it up for Vancouver. They have a great record, and the important stats prove it.
Yeah.
They're not just winning by the skin of their teeth. They're a good team, and the Avs are going to have their hands full.
And it's funny to look because you look at this roster for Vancouver, and it shouldn't be reaping the rewards that they are getting. They have a pretty decent roster here. Yeah, go ahead. Other than Quinn Hughes, you don't have your marquee poster guy.
I'll give you 2: JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. Pettersson's a good player. He is a solid player. But even Quinn Hughes, you mentioned Quinn Hughes, he is overachieving by some standards. He's an excellent defenseman. But I would, and Canuck fans have been singing his praises since they drafted him, and they always want to lump him in with Cale Makar, and you can't do that. But he always puts up decent numbers. He's exceeding what people were expecting him to do for this year. He's having a fantastic season, and but is he overachieving? Yes. That's not a slight on him. It's just he's blowing out the expectations of what he was supposed to do so far this year. Can he keep it up? That we only know. That remains to be seen.
And I was saying all that they remind me a lot of Winnipeg. Like we always talk about like Blake Wheeler and like your Kyle Connors and your Hellebucks. Like there's great talent, just a hodgepodge of a team, and it just never works out. Vancouver, for some reason, this team is working. And this, to your point, Chris, about this being the most difficult game for the Avalanche, the Canucks know exactly who they are, what they need to do, and how to win a game full 60-minute effort. And we just watched the Avalanche in a 55-minute effort lose a game. This has to be a flawlessly executed game for Colorado if you're going to walk out with a win. And I don't like Vancouver ever since the Matt Calvert game. I've always had this bad taste in my mouth for Vancouver, and this is going to be one of those that the Avalanche are going to have to really fight through this game.
Yeah. I think teams like Vancouver are more dangerous than teams like Vegas because Vancouver's out to prove something. Vegas has proven that they're good, and they have the confidence that they can just continue that along. Vancouver, there's people standing there with their arms folded saying like, go out and prove it, and they're proving it. And they want to keep that going all season long. Right. So in my eyes, that's a more dangerous team because walking into a team like Vegas or Boston or whoever you want to say, going in, you're going to get a fight. And for a team like Vancouver, they want to prove to you that we can stand toe to toe with you. And there's just people out there who say like, well, you haven't done anything recently, but okay, right now you're looking good. So they just want to keep that flow going. And the Avalanche still have that title of a very good team. You're not that far removed from your Stanley Cup victory. So these are, from a Vancouver standpoint, it's like this is a litmus test for us. We got to go out and beat a team like the Avalanche, and they're going to give you their absolute best. Some things that stand out for you: number 1 in the league in goals scored. And that is at 78, and is a full 10 goals above number 2 in Tampa Bay. They are, and by the way, the Avalanche are 4th in league in goals for. Goals against, they are top 5. No, they're 6th. So 46 goals against. So they're number 1 in goal differential. So they score a lot and they don't give up a lot of goals. That's a good recipe for success.
And that's the thing that scares me the most about Vancouver in this game. We have seen Mackenzie Blackwood stand on his head. We have made average goalies look incredible. And with Casey Smith and Thatcher Demko as the goalie stable in Vancouver, they have the opportunity night in, night out to shut you out. That is a really good goalie stable that a lot of people don't talk enough about. And Colorado has to get out early if they are going to make an impact, because as long as they're piling up the saves, like you talked about Nathan MacKinnon's 15-shot performance, if you tally 15 shots on these goalies and they are catching them with ease, it's going to be hard to break those goalies down, because they can get confident and they could take that the whole 60 minutes.
Yeah. There's just, you go through so many stats and they're either number 1 or top 5 or top 6. It's just goals for above expected. They're number 1. Almost 16 goals above expected they have right now. That's crazy. Shooting percentage. They're number 1 in shooting percentage. So, like I'm saying, like, some people can look at it and like, it's Vancouver. They haven't had success for the past few years. Okay, fine. But what they're doing this year is winning and having the stats to back it up. So I think this is a very dangerous team, and this is going to be a tough win. So can they do it? Absolutely. I have all the confidence in the world, especially you're playing at home in this game, aren't right? Or is this on?
Yeah, this is at home.
Yeah, this is at home. This is a home game. Yeah. So that gives you a little bit of hope too.
And especially after the Nashville loss, this is the kind of win that Colorado could take and really get that momentum back that you got in the Dallas game. You could pick right up where you left off.
Absolutely. All right. So do have a couple thoughts over on subtext about this. Just a couple here. Let's see. This is from Vargar. Let's see. That's something else. I want to get to that a little bit later. So let me see. This is from Easton. So Easton, he goes, his team is all over the map, and my 3-2 predictions have not gone well. So he's going to say 4-2 this time. He says Avalanche over 25 saves for Georgie. Goals. I love how he does. He predicts the goals too. So he says goals by Makar, Ryan Johansson, Logan O'Connor, and Nathan MacKinnon. Gets one back from Nathan MacKinnon. So, yeah.
I would like an LOC goal, and I'd like a Cale Makar goal right out of the gate. First goal of the game, Cale Makar.
Why not? So, all right. Let's give thanks, Kyle. It's that time of the year. So we're going to come back and discuss the things that we are thankful for. Colorado Avalanche version. But first, we're going to talk about BetterHelp, and this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. And we're talking about, giving thanks and what we're thankful for, and for the Colorado Avalanche and just in general. And I love this time of the year, but this can be a difficult time for a lot of people. And I'm sure some people in your life that's love this time of year, but also struggle with this time of year.
I was one of those that struggled during this time of year, and BetterHelp is a fantastic resource for guys like me during this time of year.
There you go. So it can be a lot, and it's natural to feel some sadness or anxiety about it, but adding something new and positive to your life can counteract some of those feelings, and therapy can be a bright spot amid all of the stress and change. So something to look forward to make you feel grounded and to give you the tools to manage everything that's going on during this crazy time. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedonnhl today to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonnhl. All right. So yeah, Thanksgiving Eve. This is I love this time of the year. So we're always sitting around the table and what do we give thanks for? And hockey version. What are some things from the Colorado Avalanche so far this year that you're thankful for, sir?
Core health. Honestly,
It's number yeah.
with the absence of Gabe Landeskog, the last thing you wanted was a repeat of last year, where you're figuring out what your lineup's going to be, who you're relying on. The fact that Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen and Cale Makar have been there, and
Mhm.
the secondary scoring could get comfortable, and you still know you have those goal scorers in front of you. That's the number one thing I'm thankful for, especially for last year, how it ended, and the Seattle bounce. It's been refreshing to know your lineup night in, night out, and where we get to be looking at call ups, call downs in the fourth line
Mm.
and picking that apart, where you have the first three so settled that you can play around with the fourth line.
That's the first thing I had on my list. Minimal injuries and
Mm.
knocking on wood. And don't, if things start going south, don't start blaming us for anything like that. But it's been a complete turnaround from last year. Yeah, you got a couple dinged up players here and there. That's going to happen. But has there been any that have been out for an extended time? I'm thinking at the
It
top of
will
my
be
head.
Lehkonen.
Yeah. Right now he's the only one, right? Yeah, that's true. But other than that, it's been a game here and there, and nothing that's
Yeah.
I mean, at this time last year they had like 100-man games like lost already. It seemed
Yeah,
like
that was Landeskog. We had a graphic at this point.
we did, yeah. So definitely minimal injuries is, I think that's funny or not. It's not ironic that it's at the top of both our lists. For me, another one, I just want to throw out thanks for that third line right now.
Yeah.
And it's honestly been two different third lines. The third line that started the year was good. You've had some movement, but the third line, it's funny because like Logan O'Connor seems to be wherever he goes, that line excels.
Yeah.
And when he was on that fourth line, that line was doing great. They bumped him up. Things have been, a little bit fluky with a couple guys, and they bring him up to the third line. That line has been stellar, night in and night out. So very thankful for line number 3 right now.
And I completely agree with you. And I would like to see Tomas Tatar work his way back. Like, he's kind of become the third member of Destiny's Child. Like, you kind of don't remember. And like that, the third line started out so hot, and now I would like to see that kind of return to form. But honestly, another thing I'm thankful for,
Mm-hmm.
Logan O'Connor making penalty kills an event.
Mm.
It's something you think about. You're like, oh, is he going to get another shorty? You're watching penalty kills in a different way now, where if he touches the puck, you sit forward in your seat because you're
Yeah.
anticipating something happening. It's been a fun little thing that even if it converts or not, he's got us conditioned to anticipate that. So
Yeah.
adding that to the penalty kill has been so much fun, and LOC finding his groove has been fantastic.
I think this is, we were heading, and when we're heading into the season, we're talking about guys we want to see maybe like take that next step. I think he has. I think this is the best that you can get from him.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He works his tail off every single game, and we knew that he's good on the penalty kill. And when you lose someone like JT Compher, who was good on the penalty kill, he needed to step it up even more. And he absolutely has done that. And even on 5-on-5, he's been good. On that third line, he's noticeable.
Yeah.
So I think this is the most that he can give you. And the Avalanche will take this every single night from him. So definitely thankful for him. One last one for me. I am very thankful for that 6-0 start. Because if it was not for that 6-0 start, I'm not saying I would be going down the road of some of the people in the comment section in the social media world, but I would understand it more than I do right now. But that 6-0 start is continued to save the Avalanche. And it's not, and we're going to get to tomorrow. We'll obviously talk about the game, but we'll also talk about, we're almost at the quarter pole of the season. And so we'll talk about where things stand with the Avalanche. Tomorrow we'll have a big bearing on maybe which way we go talking about that. But right now that 6-0 start is continued to bump the Avalanche up while they're going through a little bit of a roller coaster.
It's funny that was your third. My third this is for every Avalanche fan like me out there that is suffering after that loss. The number 3 thing I am thankful for so far, Minnesota is 5-8-4. They are a bad team, and we could be struggling, but we're not that bad, baby.
Yeah. That's very good point, Kyle. Like, you can look at the standings and be like, the Avalanche are where they are, but they're not playing well, but they're higher than what they're playing right now. But where's everybody else? And yeah, when Minnesota's a little bit lower on the poll, you smile.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. That's a very good one. Excellent. All right, everyone. That's going to wrap it up for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Special Thanksgiving Day episode. If the Avalanche are playing Thanksgiving Eve, we're going to talk about it. So we'll be back tomorrow to discuss that game and anything else that happens in Avalanche Nation. But for now, that will wrap it up. Thank you for tuning in and making Locked On Avalanche your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He's Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow.